Okay. Next question. This one's for you, Sam.
Okay.
It's about bonds, your favourite subject.
I love bonds.
Okay, John from Baldivis writes, around 40% of his superfund is invested in bonds. And he's had a look at the returns over the last few years, and the returns have been sitting around 5%. Now, he can currently get around 5% by keeping cash in the bank. So is there any reason why he shouldn't move that money from bonds to cash?
Yeah, it's a good question. And there's probably a few reasons as to why you wouldn't, okay? But the first thing is that you absolutely could move funds to cash. Bonds are classified as a defensive asset, as is cash. Not quite as defensive as cash because bonds can actually go up and down. They have an inverse relationship usually to the way that interest rates are going. So when interest rates are coming down, that's usually good for the price of bonds. And when interest rates are going up, that's usually not too good for the price of bonds, although you are getting a higher level of income. Okay, so bonds tend to, historically, and not always, because we saw some changes over the last few years when interest rates were going up and both bonds and shares were falling. But usually and historically, bonds will go up when shares are going down. So they sort of act as a bit of a hedge for your portfolio and a really good diversifier. Okay, so why wouldn't you move money back into cash if you can get 5%? Well, the first reason, I'm not too sure there's many super funds out there that are getting 5% on their cash accounts. He might be referring to cash outside of super, and it might not be.
Yeah, people look at that and they say, "Oh, I can get 5% in cash," but then they'd have to move it from their super fund because the super fund can't get 5% in cash. So there's that issue. They have to bring it out of super. So also
absolutely.
Sorry, I interrupted, Sam.
No, that's right. Exactly right. So you may have to pull your money out of super, which might give you a not so favourable outcome. But the other thing is that you have to consider where we are at this stage of the cycle. We've seen interest rates being ratcheted up to probably we've a lot of talk about potentially reaching the interest rate cycle peak. Who knows if that is the case, but we've seen for the first time some interest rates, some central banks around the world have started to drop interest rates. Now that's going to be good for bonds. Okay, so when interest rates start to fall, that's going to be good for the capital price of bonds. And you might find over a long period of time that bonds will usually give a slightly higher return than what you would be able to get in cash. So would I personally be moving all my bonds to cash? No, I wouldn't. I think this is probably the wrong time to be doing that.
Yep, most people, the right thing for most people is to have some cash, some defensive assets other than cash, like bonds, and some growth assets like equities. So everyone's different and the mix will be different from everyone, but generally just saying, oh, I'm going to sell out of all my bonds and move into cash, probably not right for a lot of people.
Absolutely. Comes back to diversification, Chris, and we love diversification.